Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to come and speak this morning. I'm really here to support my team, the people who have recently taken training with me. And Dave said, could I come along and explain, what is lifestyle engineering, what's it all about, and maybe how you could all help us grow our business and how we could help you as well. So I'm obviously from the UK. There'll be translation of that 10 minutes at the end of the meeting if you need it. And what is my background? My background is in clinical hypnotherapy. I'm based in a doctor's surgery in the UK. I've become recognised across the globe for developing a unique programme that changes the way somebody thinks to help them become healthier and fitter. I've trademarked the term lifestyle engineer in the United States, which is why I'm over here delivering training at the moment, because we're looking to increase our staff, increase our team. The programme that I've developed, I've trained over 800 practitioners in Australia, Canada, Europe, United Kingdom, and I've recently broken into new markets in South Africa and India. So the sphere is growing, if you like. It's been clinically trialled in the UK, so it's not something that we've just stumbled across and thought, hey, we'll say that this works. So, as well as training the practitioners, I've personally helped over 3,000 clients become the shape and size that they desire. I've assisted over 800 college students perform at their best in exam conditions and empowered over 250 sports professionals to perform at their best when it matters most. What changes from one game to the other is simply the way that somebody thinks. Is it not working? Sorry. I'm currently negotiating a contract with a global health company with a view to accrediting our lifestyle engineer training. This recognition by the medical profession will allow our business to reach a larger audience and allow us to change more lives. Our vision is to be the global leader within our field, delivering lifestyle enhancement programs that change the way people think. Today, I would like to I can't even read my own writing, this is terrible, isn't it? I would like to introduce you to the trained lifestyle engineers that you already have within your group. More people than you think. We're today looking to seek more candidates to be trained in helping others with how that they think, to train new people to help more people to change the way that they think. People who work from the heart to meet the demand that's just around the corner. And we'd like to become a part of a business that truly impacts on people's lives. Our next training is in Grand Rapids on the 11th of November. And also today, because I'm over here just for this week, we're actually starting a group session on Thursday in Grand Rapids. We did an introductory night for it on Monday, which went down really well, I'm pleased to say. So if you know anybody who's looking to develop a healthier, fitter approach to their life, please invite them to our group session that starts on Thursday. It's a $1,200 program that just for this week, to put something back into the community, we're offering for just $300. So if you know anybody who fits that sort of bracket. So the people that I've trained are getting fantastic results with people, and that's really why I got into training other people, because our job is all about helping people improve their lives and being the best, getting what they want out of life. And all that changes is the way that we think. So please allow us, allow my team of lifestyle engineers to change your thoughts, allow us to change your life for good. Any questions? Huh? If all that does change is the way that we think, and a lot of the time it's what we do is put a different perspective on things. We change people's perception to things, and if you alter somebody's perception, then that negative thought pattern can go away. You know, look, most of the times we do things automatically, we do things without thinking about it, we do it unconsciously, if you like. And sometimes just to bring that very much to conscious awareness can help develop a new set of habits in somebody, a set of habits that they can realistically live with. You know, because in reality, you know, we all know what to do to become healthier and fitter, don't we? We can all, every Sunday night, think, yes, this week's going to be different, I'm going to do this, I'm really good, I'm going to go to the gym every night, I'm not going to drink the wine, I'm not going to stuff my face with chocolate anymore. And then by Monday morning, all the demands of life are placed upon us, and we almost forget about it. So by Monday night, I'm sitting back on my couch, I've got my wine, I've got my chocolate, I've not been to the gym, but I intended to, but it never happened. So what we do is put it to the forefront, I suppose, of people's minds so that it's almost reminded. So they then start to develop this new set of habits that they can carry out without thinking about, just like we do what we do now without thinking about. Because if we can change how we think, because the only thing that's different between any of us is the way that we think. Nothing else at all. If we were to put all our organs on the floor in a big pile, they would all be identical. So the only thing that's different between me and Madonna is, well, she's a lot fitter, she's a lot better looking, she's got a better voice. But apart from that, you know, we are identical. And, you know, we all have our unique view of the world, which we believe to be right. And, you know, if they believe the world was flat, everybody believed the world was flat and there was no telling anybody any different. All of a sudden, they managed to find that the world was round. Everybody changed the thinking to that, and now everybody believes the world's round. So we all have a unique belief system. We don't deliver programs that are the same for everybody, because we are all different. We are all different in the way that we think. We all have a different view of the world. So by taking somebody's view of the world and altering it slightly, then we can get them to where they want to be.
Welcome everybody, welcome. Dr. Dave Hillis. I am a lifestyle engineer for, well, Dolphin Healing Hands is my practice, but we are also a part of Lifestyle Engineering Services, which is our global headquarters. So I'd like to welcome everybody for being here, and thanks for coming in and checking out some of the stuff that we're doing, and we want to talk about this wonderful program. And so what I'm going to do is I want to share with you this program for virtual gastric bands and how I came to be a part of the virtual gastric band. And then also this incredible opportunity that we have that I want to share with everybody, which is kind of how it all started unfolding. So what I'm going to, originally, how it all came to be was I had a friend of mine that's a hypnotherapist in the Detroit area, and she, her and I just have really busy schedules, so we were trying to catch up with each other. We're talking about things that were going on, and she said that she needed a guinea pig for this new training, that she was going to meet this lady from England. I usually say chick from England, but that was she was going to meet her down in Florida, go through this training, but she needed somebody to go through this program, and so she's like, I would like your opinion, want to know how you think and feel about it. And then also from knowing that I have some background in hypnosis as well. And so, and her and I used to share an office in Detroit, and so that's what we were going to do. And then also, my partner was going to be having the actual real surgery, and so it was going to be perfect for us to actually compare the holistic model, if you will, the non-surgical, as well as the surgical approach to some of these different ways of managing our lifestyles. And so that's kind of what we were going to do and look at it from that, so we could compare everything. Because I had made the promise that I'm going to do everything you're going to do through this whole process, except I'm not going to have surgery. So when I was talking to my friend Kelly, then she was like, oh, wait. I'm like, oh, there's an alternative. So that was the whole idea, that I wanted to do that, to figure that out. And to date, I have yet to have a surgery, and I don't plan on. So that's the whole idea, that I wanted to be able to figure this part out and get some better tools to be able to manage my lifestyle. I had struggled with weight my entire life, so it's, talking with my mom, we had the conversation that I actually was in husky jeans back when I was in kindergarten. So a lot of folks can kind of understand that. So it was always back and forth throughout my whole life. And so I would lose some weight, but obviously it just never stuck. It was always something that I always struggled with. And so that's just the way that it was. And I had a crazy, really fast-paced practice. And so my goal was going to be that I wanted to go down to about 200 pounds through this process. So that's what I told her I wanted to get to, was about 200 pounds. At my height, the biggest that I was 255, and that was at Amanda's wedding. And so when I started this process, I actually had gone down to, I was at 234 when I started the virtual gastric band. So that was when I first started. And so that was back in April of last year. Not this past year, but the year before. So that's when I started the whole process. I had no idea what it was about to change in my life. Just me personally, I had no idea the results that I was going to be able to see from this entire thing. So my goal was at that 200. The day that I got on the scales and it was 195, I was like, okay, wait, hold the bus. Because, wait, what? That's possible. No way, I didn't even know that I was going to get past that. I was just happy to maybe get there, was kind of the whole idea. But once I got there, I was like, oh, game on, we're doing this. Because it's not that I wasn't knowing that it was going to change and happen, but I was just kind of like, yeah, we'll see how it goes, kind of thing. So I then, throughout the whole process, I ended up losing 64 pounds. So, and I've been at that for over a year now. It's been an easy, effortless, wonderful process, and so I have this incredible new relationship with food that I love being able to try absolutely everything and having a couple of bites and I'm like, I'm good, I'm done. So that's kind of the end result of that. So within my practice, how that all started working was that because everybody in my practice, all my clients were they're all asking me, okay, what the heck are you doing, dude? Because I was really losing rather quickly, and they're like, it's really shifting and changing. And so I had asked Kelly to come over to the west side of the state to start having those clients, to start seeing some of my clients that wanted to go through this whole process. Her schedule just wasn't working, and everybody else was like, I need to do this, I gotta do this, and so I had to do phone calls, emails, and Facebook messages, and everything else. So I decided to Facebook stalk Sheila to find out where in the world Sheila was. So that's what I did, and the next thing I found is that she was going to be in Toronto, and that was in October, of last year. And so I signed up and was going to do that next workshop, and so I'm like, okay, done, I'm doing this, I got to figure this out. So I bring it back and get trained so that I could bring this to my clients that really, really needed to do this. Not to mention, just because anything that I find so impactful in my life, I want to be able to share it with anyone and everyone that I can. So that's how that worked. So went to Toronto, met Sheila, went through the training, literally as soon as I hit the border back to the United States, I already had clients ready to go that were like, okay, ready, done, got that done, so we need to get me under this program. So that's how that started. So to date, I have 66 clients that have been going through this program with me. And, well, I just got to add another one when we were in Traverse City. So we're at 66 clients that I've been able to work with since October. I am now at 1,676 pounds that my clients have lost since October that have gone through this with me. So my program, or the way that I schedule this and work that with my private clients, is that the program is at $980 each to work with me independently. As of January is when my prices go back up to $1,500 to work with me with this. But stay tuned, there's more. We're going to have some incredible opportunities for Sheila that she's going to be chatting with everybody about. So I just wanted to really show everybody, or talk to them a little bit about how that got to be here, because what that ended up doing, there were so many folks that had incredible practice with it within themselves that they decided, I need to do this for more folks. So then I had to have that conversation with Sheila of like, okay, so can you train some folks? Because we need to do this more. So that's how that started happening, and so then we were able to bring in more folks and start training that. So we actually have that this week here in this location. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to bring all of those things together. So I want to introduce Mr. Eric Webster, who happened to be a really dear friend that I got to share a part of this whole stuff, and I'll let him tell you his story.
Yep. Thanks, Dave. So every week when I'd see Dave, I'd see less of him. And I thought, okay, I've got to do this. At my highest, probably 5 years ago, I was 300 pounds. Now at 6'4", to other people it may not have been obvious, but it was pretty revolting to me. And so I had trimmed down to maybe 265-ish, just on my own and through no real great discipline or effort. But as I watched Dave melt away, I thought, okay, I've got to do this. And then Sheila was teaching the virtual gastric band certification in Chicago in March. And so I said, okay, and then doing the lifestyle engineer training the following week in Muskegon. And so Dave and I went to Chicago, and on the drive to Chicago, he said, say, how would you like to be the crash test dummy this week? Because when Sheila teaches the protocol, there's somebody that gets to be the demonstration subject. And so on Saturday morning that weekend, Sheila did the procedure on me, and about an hour and a half later we went to lunch. And I thought, oh, this has been a game changer already, I can tell. And so I ordered an appetizer that had 2 little crab cakes. I swear to God they weren't any bigger than that. And a little pile of jicama strawberry slaw. And I got 2/3 of the way through one of the crab cakes and had about a bite and a half of the slaw. And went, really? I looked at these two and I'm like, really? That's all I'm getting for lunch today? Because I'm totally satisfied with this. And dinner was similar, and it was the most crazy good food I've ever tasted in my life. And I was in the restaurant business for 20 years in a prior lifetime. So, so that following week I did the certification training in Muskegon. I have 2 other full-time jobs, so I see clients on nights and weekends, but I have several that really are the poster children of what this process is about. It resets your relationship with food. It's not a diet, it's not a fad. You don't have to stand on one leg and jump up and down for it to work. If you have a day where you go off, really you go out of your mind because it's a mindfulness thing. The next meal, the next time you sit down, if you remember what you're doing, remember what the steps are, you're immediately back in line with everything. There's no guilt. You can eat anything you want. It's listening to your body. And the stories that I'm getting for people are about things that we didn't even talk about, that all of a sudden are no longer appealing to them. People that used to enjoy certain snack foods in high quantity or beverages or whatever, pick your poison, so to speak, who no longer have any attraction to those items at all. And it's just easy. It's just wonderful. So, so as a practitioner, there's great satisfaction for me in helping people change their lives, and that's the story that I get back from people, is about how the process has just dramatically touched every area of their life, not only the weight part. As a client of Sheila and Dave's, it's been really fun for me because I'm tasting food like I've never tasted it before. Eating less than I've ever eaten before, and this past weekend in Chicago got to buy smaller clothes than I've bought in a really long time. And I'm not done yet, but we'll get there. So Dave has a video that we're going to show, an interview with Sheila that was done by the BBC, and then we're going to bring Sheila up to talk to you, because she's the one that created the process. So who better to hear about it from than her?
So really this evening is just about giving you a little bit of information about what the hell is a virtual gastric band and what it's all about. You know, is it witchcraft? Is it a con? You know, what is this program all about and how does it work? I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm based in a doctor's surgery in the UK, and I see on average 35 to 50 clients a week, week in, week out. And nearly everybody now comes for a virtual gastric band. And now I really think if somebody comes to me for sleep or another issue, I think, thank goodness for that, something different to do. But my research with it goes back about 3.5 years now. I think that original interview with the BBC, which is on my website, goes back about 3.5 years. At the time, 80% of my clients were coming to me for weight control. And the system I used was a bit hit and miss. It worked for some people, not for others. And I couldn't really get a handle on it. I read a newspaper article, some people in Spain called the Shirans, and they came up with a concept of a gastric mind band to get people to lose weight. This newspaper article said they were charging people what would have been $6,000 to go to Spain for 4 days to have this treatment with them, and they claimed to be about 75% successful. So I read this newspaper article and I thought, what a load of rubbish. What a con. How can that possibly work for somebody? But at the time, 80% of my clients were coming for weight control. So I thought, what the hell? I'm going to put that type of concept to a bit of a trial. So I devised my own program around it. I had no idea what they did in Spain, but I was going to devise my own program around this concept. I put a word of mouth thing out. I wanted 25 volunteers. Nobody paid me any money. I was going to see everybody in a group. And I foolishly invited my local newspaper along to independently verify any results I had. The newspaper printed the article prior to the trial, so I thought, shit. They're definitely going to print afterwards. So if this hasn't brought about a good result, I have no business left anymore. About the second day after the first session, a lady rang me up and she said, I'm not sure what you've done. She said, because I have spent 45 years of my life thinking about food every day. And she said, and all of a sudden, I'm not thinking about it anymore. So she said, how's that happened then? What's happened there? The group as a whole lost 14 stone in 3 weeks. We have 14 pounds in a stone, so 14 times 14 pounds, whatever that is. About 200 in 3 weeks. I was astounded. I thought, are you sure? Are you sure you've lost weight? So I'm based in a doctor's surgery. So the doctor then said to me, I've got 10 patients who have been refused gastric surgery. We have the National Health Service in the UK that fortunately fund all of our medical treatments. But they've been hit by funding issues. The country's on its knees with the recession, so some things have got to change. And one of those things is they won't automatically fund surgery anymore for gastric, for the bariatric things. So the doctor said, I've got 10 patients refused gastric surgery. So I agreed to see them as a trial. So again, nobody was paying any money. I hadn't got 10 hours a week to see them all individually, so again, they had to be seen in a group. And the first session with them was a complete nightmare. They all came in, took the seats just like you good people tonight. And a lady sitting at the front, we just all nicely talked into a relaxed state, into hypnosis, and I'll explain that to you in a minute, what hypnosis is and what it isn't. But they're all sitting there in a nice relaxed state. And the lady at the front had a huge coughing fit, which normally wouldn't have been so much of a problem. But if you can imagine, the room was a little bit like this, and the bathroom was just a room attached to it at the end. So the lady gets up, she pushes her way through everybody to get to the bathroom. She goes into the bathroom, she has a big wee, because we could, everybody else is sitting there quietly. So we could hear that. She had quite a lot of wind as well, I hasten to add. And I'm thinking, this is a nightmare. These poor people here are imagining surgery and she's trumping in the bathroom. Maybe you can hear the surgeon's got a little bit of wind. So I said to the doctor the next day, that group of people last night, absolute nightmare. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, I've given you my most difficult set of patients, and if you get a result in one single person, I will be really impressed. 9 out of 10 people got results with it. Again, I was quite astounded, really. But I'm very much, and by this time I'd worked with lots and lots of people privately with this programme. So I'm very much a therapist who would like to see this type of thing available for more people, not just somebody who can pay me privately or anybody else. The only way that can happen in the UK with the National Health Service is with clinical evidence behind something. That's the only language that speaks the medical profession speak, if you like, clinical evidence. So I've been doing everything within my power to get clinical trials set up in the UK, funded clinical trials, because to get clinical trials on something is really difficult and it also costs huge amounts of money. You know, the average cost of a small trial is around $300,000. As a private individual, it's quite difficult to sort of fund that type of thing. So I fortunately got a medical school and a university to agree clinical trials with me. And it was headed up with a guy who's head of diabetes and endocrinology at my local hospital. The trial has been finished up. It was a 6-month study, and I'm literally like this, waiting for the results of it, with a view to making that available to more people in the UK. I'm also talking to a health insurance company in the UK with a view to forming a partnership with them. In America, over here, I started training people a couple of years ago, hypnotherapists over here. There's a lady who owns an eating disorders unit in New York, a psychologist, who has just authored a book called Binge Eating for Dummies. It's out in August. If you don't know how to binge eat, you can read it, it tells you how to do it. I think it's supposed to be the other way around. But anyway, she said this is the best programme, hands down, that she has ever seen in a therapy setting. So she is also doing what she can to get clinical trials over here. My overall vision, if you like, is once I've got a partnership with a health organisation in the UK, then I attempt to get partnership with a health insurance company in America. So to make things available for more people. But, you know, there's a lot of bumps in the road to go along before I manage to get that to happen, but that's what I hope to have happen. So what is it then? What is it all about? It is not, as Eric said, it is not a diet, because we know that they don't work. We know that, we all consciously know what to do. We all consciously, if you want to lose weight, all right, eat less and exercise more. Okay, so Sunday evening, every Sunday night, I will think, yes, this week is going to be different. This week I'm going to eat healthily, I'm going to get myself to the gym every night, I'm not going to stuff my face with chocolate, and I'm going to stop drinking. Monday, the demands of the day are placed upon me again, and I almost forget about it. And by Monday night, I'm sat on the couch, I've got my chocolate, got my wine, and I've eaten crap all day. So, you know, we know it's not a conscious thing, if you like, because we all consciously know what to do. So this isn't a diet, and we know that, you know, you can do the traditional diets. In the UK, we have Slimming World and Weight Watchers, and you go every week for your weekly weigh-in, and you have so many points, or you have red days, green days, never the twain shall meet, you know. And while you go, you're probably all right. As soon as you stop, it all goes back on again. And if you think about it, that's why they are such big businesses. Big businesses rely on repeat business. That's how it makes big businesses repeat business. So if they were so good, they would have solved the problem by now. And also, what they're really doing, when you think about it, is they're programming people's minds to think about food all of the time. So when you're counting your points, your calories, your fat content, all those type of things. So when you stop doing it, you're still programmed to think about it. And that's why they get the repeat business back in again, because they just programmed you to think about it. So, and you know, we kid ourselves with those programs. We kid ourselves. You go for your weekly weigh-in, and the day you're going for your weigh-in, you think, right, it's weigh-in day today. I better not have anything to eat. I won't have anything to eat until I've been. I'll wear my lightest clothes. I'll have a great big wee before I get there. You get on the scales and you say, I've lost a pound. Fantastic. I'll have fish and chips on the way home. You know, and you know, who's the people we're kidding? Just ourselves, aren't we? So this isn't a diet, because we know that they don't work. This is the term virtual gastric band always sounds a little bit like madness. But it's really a tool to get somebody to listen much more to the tummy, the stomach, than the head or their eyes. If you think about a baby has a perfect weight control system. It cries when it's hungry, give it a bottle, when it's full it stops. It doesn't think, do you know, I've had a real shit day today. You know? Do you know what my day's been like? You know, I deserve a reward at the end of the day, you know. It doesn't think that, it just thinks, am I hungry, am I not hungry? And it stops as soon as it's had enough. So we were all born with a very perfect weight control system. The only thing that has changed that is suggestions that have been made to us by our parents a lot of the time. You know, we encourage children for all the right reasons to eat more than they need. Eat it all up, he'll be a big boy. Absolutely right. That is exactly what he will be. He will be a really big boy. Because when he gets older, he won't be able to leave the food on the plate because he's being encouraged to eat it all. So we almost, with this programme, retrain somebody to be satisfied on much smaller amounts. And so that you're doing it also without thinking about it. So if somebody feels like they're not on the diet, they're eating whatever they want, but they're satisfied on smaller amounts of it, they will carry on losing the weight and get to where they want to be and stay there. So the gastric band then, one of the things we do on the very first session is get somebody to imagine an operation for surgery. You know you have not had an operation because there was no pain or discomfort involved, and you were sitting in a chair in a room and there was no surgeons about or any medical equipment. So consciously you know you've not had an operation. The reason that side of things can be so effective is because, believe it or not, your mind does not understand what is real and what is pretend. If any of you were to think about something really tragic happening to somebody you loved and cared about, if you thought about it enough, it would make you cry. And it's not even real, you have just made it up in your head. The other night, for some reason, I love animals, I love dogs. I've got a little dog at home called Simon. And the other night I'm thinking, oh, Simon will be really, really sad on his own. He probably isn't, he's probably loving him. I'm having a great time without me being there. So I'm thinking, oh, what if Simon ever died? What if I'm making myself cry. It's not even happened. It's just something I'm making up in my head. So our minds don't understand what is real and what is pretend. So by getting somebody to imagine surgery, the mind can act as though it's real. The body can act as though it's real. Because we know mind and body are all part of the same thing. This and this aren't two separate things. You know, I'm sure the gentleman in the room, you know, will think, yes, if I think erotic thoughts, something physical happens. So we know that mind and body are all part of the same system. And with men, most of the time, it's not even real. It really is something you've just made up in your head. So, it's a 4-week programme designed to change how somebody thinks about food, to help somebody develop a new set of habits that they can realistically live with. The gastric band element of things, everybody experiences it completely differently. So I always say, I'm not here to prove that hypnosis exists, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. I'm here to get you to where you want to be. However that comes about, it doesn't really matter as long as it does. And I'm also not here to make somebody think they've got a gastric band. Because you know you haven't got one, you've been sitting in the room all the time. The PR spin, you know, the BBC News interview, it's all about hypnotist convince this person they've got gastric band. Absolute load of crap. No, I haven't. I've just made somebody focus more on the tummy than the head of their eyes. So, but everybody does experience it differently. And I'll tell you about two of my clients. A gentleman called Malcolm, to start with, lived locally to me, told me he was 20 stone. Was very quiet, very shy type of guy. Came along for his first session, absolutely fine. Came back for his second session 1 week later. And I said, how have you been? He said, yeah, I'm all right. I said, do you feel like you're eating less? Eating less? I'm not eating anything. All right, okay. Are you drinking much water? Yeah, can't get off the loo, I'm drinking that much of it. I said, have you been on the scales? He said, oh yeah, I've been on the scales. I said, and? He said, I've lost 14 pounds in a week. So he really wasn't eating enough. So I said, look, I won't do your second session right now. I'll see you next week. You'll find you will eat a little bit more over the next week. So bear in mind, he'd been 20 stone, he'd lost a stone in a week. And he said, well, don't you leave it too long, he said, before you do anything else. He said, because I've only got another 19 weeks to go. Until he thought he was like, disappeared, gone. I'm just going to, gone. So don't leave it too long, because otherwise I'll just be gone. Another lady, Sonia, who I dedicated a book to, and Sonia's lost 140 pounds. And she was very much somebody who, it was a gastric band that really did it for her. And she rang me up just before Christmas and said, do you think you could tighten things up a bit? Because like Christmas is coming and I might eat a bit too much. So can you tighten that band up? So I said, okay then. So she came back just before Christmas, a few days before, tightened it up. And she sent me a text message the next day. And she said, how tight have you made this? Because I can hardly eat anything at all. But they're extreme cases. Really, it's about getting somebody to focus more on the tummy than the head of their eyes. There are no contraindications. I've done tests with people with underactive thyroid, polycystic ovary syndrome, endocrine disorders. People still get the same results. Diabetes, people on who are type 2 diabetic can be off that medication in 3 weeks. That is why I'm so driven to get clinical trials through and get this programme available to more people, because I've seen how it can change people's lives. And, you know, all the money in the world, which is why, you know, Eric, Dave, etc. are also driven by it, is because there is no better feeling in the world than somebody saying, you have changed my life. And you get driven to do more and more and more of it. So, you know, Dave, myself, Eric, you know, I mean, I work 90 hours a week and I have done for, I don't know how long now. But I don't view it as work because it's helping the next person. There's the next person who needs some help. So I work with clients all over the world because you can do sessions via Skype, believe it or not. I've trained around 750 practitioners around the world, Australia, America, Europe. Spend most of my life sitting on a plane. It's when I get to go to sleep. I love sitting on that long haul. I think, oh yes, 8 hours of doing absolutely nothing. But you know, there can never be enough people really. Average weight loss then is around 7 pounds in the first week, 1 to 2 pounds a week after that, but somebody's doing it without dieting. So the key questions I continually ask people are, do you feel like you're on a diet? Because if somebody does, it's never going to work in the long term. There's more work to be done. Are you making real conscious effort with this, or are you just doing it? Because as soon as somebody says, I'm just doing it, then I know that we've changed thinking. Because just like you do what you did before without thinking about it. Those are the things that I'm looking for in somebody. So what is hypnosis then? And there might be people sitting here tonight thinking, well, I don't think I can be hypnotised. Because a lot of people's perception of hypnosis is the stage hypnotist, you know. Sleep. When you hear the next piece of music, you will think you are the world's greatest stripper. And the person seems to... and so people think, oh no, that couldn't happen to me. That couldn't happen to me. And you're absolutely right, it probably couldn't. Because you maybe wouldn't be somebody who would take your clothes off on the stage. If you thought about doing that before, or you didn't mind doing it, then I've probably just given you permission to do it. But every living human being can be hypnotised. Because although you might sit here and think, I haven't been hypnotised before, you have every single day of your life, 120 times a day. So when you're driving your car or your truck, same route every day. Have I been through those traffic lights back there? I can't remember that bit of the journey. Or you can be sitting watching the television and you're staring at the screen. What was that bit about? I missed that bit. But you were sitting there watching it. So it's like a daydream. Our mind just wanders off onto something else. So, we go into it naturally as human beings, and it is just a state of relaxation. There is nothing more to it than that. Everybody experiences it differently. Some people just feel like this isn't there with their eyes shut. Other people can't remember a single thing that's been said to them. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But the power of it comes in, not about hypnotising people. The power of it comes in about getting you to accept suggestions that are being made to you about changes that you want to make. But when you become relaxed, when you go into hypnosis, you are very, very open to suggestions. And people think, yeah, it's only suggestions. Yeah, it's only suggestions. Suggestions made you the person you are today. Suggestions made me the person I am today. Advertising, they're all suggestions. Things that our parents have said to us, they're all suggestions. And some of those we've taken on board and we've made them our world. And we do it without thinking about it. And others will clearly reject. You can't make people do things they don't want to do. I couldn't say, hypnotise you and say, tomorrow morning, when you get up, you'll drive to the bank, you'll rob them of all the money and you'll bring it back to me. Because you probably think, yeah, and you can get stuffed. Because it probably wouldn't be within your attitudes and beliefs that it was all right to do it. But if you're a bank robber, are you a bank robber? No. Oh. Are you a bank robber? But if you were a bank robber or you thought about robbing banks, I've probably just given you permission to go and do it. I haven't found anybody to do it for me yet. This is why I have to flit around the world, because somewhere there must be somebody who will do it. You'll hear about it when it's happened, because I'll send a message to say I'm laid in the Bahamas somewhere. But as yet, I'm still doing this for now. So that's a little bit about the programme, if you like. Now, although I'm standing here, Eric stood up here, Dave stood up here and said, yeah, this is absolutely fantastic, it changes lives, I have to say it cannot be guaranteed. Nobody can guarantee anything. Doctors can't. Given the pills, they're not guaranteed to make you better. We ask people to follow some guidelines, nothing complicated at all. Any change does require a little bit of conscious effort. There ain't no magic wands out there, they just don't exist. But what hypnosis does is makes change a lot easier on people. So obviously I'm not here very often, so I'd said to Dave and to Eric, it'd be really nice to make an offer to extend it to more people at a more affordable price while I'm here, if you like. So although this programme is generally $980 privately, and for this week and this week only, we are going to do some group sessions. And the group sessions will be at $300. I will start the first one off on Thursday night. It will be Thursday evening and the next 4 Thursdays. Dave and Eric will see you're all right for the rest of the sessions. So that's basically the offer that we can make this evening. The other side of things is we desperately need some more people to be trained in this area here to meet some demands that we've got. If you know anybody who will be interested in helping other people with this programme, if you can ask them to either talk to me, Dave or Eric, because we need as many people that we can get to fulfil some potential contracts that we're going to get for the future. We need to have the things in place. You see, I've only been a therapist for 4 years, and people might look and think, yeah, you've built a really good business in a short space of time. I'm not a business person. Yeah, I've done fairly well with it, but because I'm fairly driven as well. I'm pitching to global health insurance companies. And what I'm saying to them is that I'm not saying that this is an alternative to surgery, because it's not necessarily an alternative to surgery. Surgery is right for some people. This is a potential viable alternative in some cases, and can't they offer something that's at a lower price before people get to the surgery bracket? So that's what I'm pitching to global health companies at the moment. If one of those pitches comes off and they say, yes, Sheila, that's very good, we like that idea. We've got 1,000 people who fit your criteria, when can you start? Oh, right, okay then. Yes, I've got 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's not going to do with 1,000 people. So, you know, we need people, you know, and people who are wanting to help other people. So if you know anybody who fits into that bracket, has anybody got any questions?
What are your success rates with people who like want to have kids and stuff? Like, does that inhibit them? Do they have to like go back and take away all the hypnosis?
No. Yeah, often people say, so when I get to where I want to be, do you have to take it out? Do you have to reoperate? No, because I haven't operated in the first place. All it's going to do is to regulate somebody's eating, to get somebody down to something healthy. You know, there isn't any, say, contraindications to it. I've not made anybody anorexic yet. Although I am actually a little bit concerned about one gentleman at the moment at home. He's a truck driver, and in 6 months he has lost 140 pounds. In 6 months. Now, I don't remember him being that big to start with. And part of me's thinking, oh, okay. Is there anything left of you? If you keep going, there's not going to be. So I need to be ringing him when I get back. Maybe he will be the first person it needs reversing in. But yeah, generally, all it's doing is making somebody healthy. That's all we're doing, you know. Any other questions?
I have one. Have you guys seen any studies with the PSAs first and then afterwards? Or?
That's what needs to happen now.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned what average weight loss is, but it really isn't about the figure on the scales. There's a whole load of other indicators that really need measuring. They weren't measured as the clinical trials, so that is the next thing, and that's again something that I'm talking to the health insurance companies about. Because, you know, we don't weigh people when we're doing this programme because it's really not about the figure on the scales. You know yourself, you know, you can be really, really good all week and you think, yeah, I feel better, my clothes feel more comfortable, yes, I feel healthy, lots of energy, and you get on the scales and it says you've put a pound on. And you just think, well, bugger this. You know, and you just go back to what you're doing before. And I had a lady, I'd done 3 sessions with her and she was really comfortable with things, she was doing all right, so she said, look, can you leave it and I'll come and see you when I feel I need it reinforcing. Can I leave that session in the bank? And I said, yeah, of course. She came back 3 months later. I opened my office door and I said, bloody hell, I said, you've lost a lot of weight, haven't you? And she said, well, actually, I haven't lost any weight since I came to see you. She said, but I've dropped 3 dress sizes because her body shape had completely changed. She got very much more into exercise. Now, if that lady had been really hung up on the figure on the scale, she'd have given up a long while ago. So, it's, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not about sort of, sort of figure on the scales.
No.
Any other questions? No?
Well, Sheila, I would just like to share that just being exposed to the training, I started losing weight, and my triglycerides dropped 186 pounds, and my cholesterol dropped 65
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
Or 65
Yeah.
digits, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so say what it does seem to bring about, which is with the diabetes and things like that, you know, it's real sort of quality of life outcomes, which is why I was so driven to sort of, you know, clinical trials and see how we can sort of expand things really.